Are you working hard and you're building a good life and your family knows they can count on you? But if you're helping out everybody financially, who is going to protect your future? Now, I know it might sound foul, but every time you say yes to a family member who's coming to you for money, your dreams of your financial future are slipping away from you. Welcome to the Wealth Twin Show. Today, we're going to talk about the hidden cost of being that responsible person that your family comes to and what you can do about it. Let's jump into it.
When you talk like this, Nadia, it makes me think of really three big hidden costs that people may not be aware of. One, it'll be financial costs,
Hmm.
then it'll be emotional costs, and then it will be opportunity costs.
Yep.
Now, I'll get into the first one, financial costs, because that's the most obvious, right? When none of us really have an unlimited supply of money. So the fact that we don't have an unlimited amount of money means that every time we give someone some money to someone, that means that money has to come from another place, right? Or it can't go to another place. So that right there, if you give $5 to someone, that means you can't have $5 saved or you can't have that $5 invested. And that is a hidden cost. Every money that goes out your pocket cannot help you grow your money and build wealth in the future.
Now, let's talk about those costs because most of the time it's not $5. Those costs end up being helping out with your parents with their medical bills because another sibling can't step up that month. Or maybe it's even helping out a sibling who can't make ends meet. And it's good to do that. But at the end of the day, who's helping you, right? Now, Nicole had mentioned there was another cost, and I will get into that right now, is the emotional cost. Now, I know what it's like when people come to you asking for money all the time and you feel guilty saying no to them because you feel like you have it and you probably make more money than they do, right? But here's the deal, if it continuously happens, you will eventually not have that money, especially when you need it in the future. It's all fine and good when you're working, you're making a good salary right now, and you're getting paid on a bi weekly basis or you're getting paid on a weekly basis, and you know that your needs are met every month because your expenses are being taken over. But what happens when that steady paycheck stops coming, right? What have you done to protect your future? Who is looking out for you? Because I can tell you right now, nobody is going to take care of you the way you want to take care of yourself, okay? And if you're the person that everybody comes to ask for help, what is going to happen in the future when you're the one who needs that help? And I know it's kind of foul to think that way, but that's the way you have to start thinking, especially if you want to continue to help your family.
There's I guess it's a hashtag or it's a nickname for especially women who are that responsible one in the family,
Mm,
that one that everyone can look to, and it's that rich auntie, right?
yeah.
And I know that's kind of like a bragging title, but there's two sides to that coin, okay? The first side is that you have to be the rich auntie. You have to be the one that anybody can always come to if they need that financial help, right? So that means you got to constantly be on your game when it comes to making sure that you're keeping the career that you're doing, putting in those hours, doing everything you need to do to either stay or advance in that career, right? So that you can be that rich auntie and always have that access to money. Now, the flip side of that is it's a lot of pressure to be that rich auntie because you can't let anybody else know exactly how you're feeling. And that could be a feeling of isolation. One, like Nadia said, was guilt, but isolation is another emotional cost that you go to. If you have the nickname as a rich auntie, who can you go and speak to when you are saying, you know what, this is getting a little tight, things are getting a little tight, or I'm getting older, and am I going to be able to continue to be the rich auntie? Especially when you look at your retirement accounts and your retirement funding, and you realize, I've been at this job for 20 years now. I want to retire, hopefully before 65. So you start looking into your retirement accounts and you start realizing, based on my savings, based on my retirement accounts, I don't know if I can make that happen. Or you're seeing coworkers who have retired, but 6 months later, you're hearing that they got another job, and you're wondering, they were working right next to me. I know they were making good money. Is this going to happen to me? Am I going to have to go back to work? So, being that rich auntie does have a positive and a negative when it comes to the hidden costs of being that rich auntie.
Now, I will tell you, Nicole and I have been rich aunties for a while, right? But I will let you
Nadia's been a
know.
rich auntie. I'm not the rich auntie.
Yeah, okay. My thing is this, when you say no to people, I know it's very hard. And I have many friends who find it very hard to say no to people. But you have to understand, you have to say no sometimes in order to protect yourself so you can help them out when it's a bigger situation or they actually really do need the funds, right? If you keep bailing people out for minor things, they will never learn how to take care of themselves, right? But if you have them start being a little more self-sufficient and figure out different ways and be more resourceful than coming to you, things will start changing. And when that happens, a lot of the resentment that builds up because people keep coming to you for all the little things they just should be taking care of themselves will go away, right? And then when they actually come to you for help for something they actually really do need and that you can provide for, that resentment's not there. You're grateful to have the opportunity to help people. Okay. So I'm not telling you to say no just be no, be selfish. You're actually saying no to help yourself and to help your family members. So later down the line, you both can thrive.
Yeah, we all love our families, right? But loving them should not be at the expense of loving yourself and taking
Mm-hmm.
care of yourself. Now, I use this example all the time. When you're on an airplane, the first thing they say is if the oxygen mask drops down, you put it on yourself first before trying to help somebody else. And that's what we have to do when it comes to our finances as well, especially if you're getting up in years and you're thinking about retirement. You have to make sure that you're taken care of first before you're helping other people. We're not saying not to help. We're just saying to make sure you're helping yourself first so that you can end up helping them without actually hurting yourself. Now, another cost that I had mentioned earlier was opportunity cost. And I'm going to bring this back to retirement planning, right?
Okay.
If you're constantly helping others, if you're helping, you got like some type of budget that you're actually helping other family members, guess what? That means that you're not probably maximizing all your retirement accounts. You're not maximizing all the available investment accounts that are out there available to you that you can actually take advantage of while you're working that might not be accessible to you after you leave the company. Okay. So, for example, as a HSA account, that is something you need to take advantage of while you're at work. But if you don't have the income, if you don't have the savings to put towards that, because that money is being given to someone else, you're going to lose out on one of those accounts that can definitely supercharge your savings, right? Another account would be your brokerage account. I know a lot of people that we speak to, they do have their savings account and they think that's what they need outside of retirement accounts. But guess what? You need more than that. There's reasons for it. I can get into it. We're talking about inflation and talking about being robbed by these banks when it comes to inflation. But there's other accounts that you need that's going to take care of you if you need something to cover an expense, to cover something great, but you don't want to tap into those retirement accounts, such as a brokerage account. So those opportunity costs are big costs that you need to be aware of when you're trying to be the one, even though you're responsible, you cannot save everyone.
Now, I agree. Now, we're not going to make this whole video about bad news and why you should stop helping your family, right? The good news is that this is solvable and you actually don't have to stop helping your family. But what you have to do is start putting yourself first. So, how do you do that? One of the ways you do that is by creating a plan that gives you what numbers you need to hit in order to have the retirement or the lifestyle that you want in the future, right? Once you have that plan and have those numbers in place, you know how much savings you have to put aside and how much you have to start investing in order to start hitting those numbers. Once you have that invested and you have that numbers put aside, preferably on a monthly basis, then you're free to go lend money out or take care of other expenses that may be outside of that for other people because now you are helping yourself at the same time you're helping others. And if you don't have it at the end of that, then you really don't have it and you don't feel guilty by saying no.
So what Nadia is saying is that once you know your numbers, you know exactly what numbers you can, what type of money you can actually dedicate to investing and saving, and what amount of money you can actually dedicate to helping others out. Right
Yeah, if you don't
now, the
know your
second
numbers, you
step.
could be putting yourself in a hole that will take you forever to dig out and thinking that you're actually in a good place when you're actually putting yourself in a financial burden for the future.
Yeah, you know what's interesting when it comes to finances? This doesn't have to be wishing and hoping, right? There could be a mathematical equation that you can actually put to get you closer to the more accurate number. Okay, now, a lot of people say, "I wish I could retire at 65. I wish I could, go on vacation." No, there's numbers that you can put in place, or there's numbers and formulas that you can figure out so that you know exactly what you may need. And if it's not exact, at least it's close to it so you can actually have a target that will allow you to hit that goal. So there's no wishing and hoping. Now, the second part of this equation, once you know the money that you could dedicate to investing, the money you could dedicate to others, the second thing you want to do, because we're also so busy, you want to automate that process. And the only way to automate that really is to have a system in place. Once you have that system in place, basically you can set it and forget it, right? But you have to take that time out to learn how to set and forget and learn how to automate that investing and savings. Because once you take yourself out that equation, you can keep growing your money and building your wealth without you being the bottleneck.
I can't tell you the amount of people we spoke to who are easily being the bottleneck and being the barrier to them actually building wealth simply because they can't take the time or they haven't taken the time to automate their savings and automate their investing. This is something, if you take the time now to do it, it will pay dividends in the future. And I'm not talking just dividends that you're getting from the stock or the index funds that you're picking, right? This is something that once you do it, this is an action that can reward you over and over again in the future.
Yep.
So don't be that bottleneck and cost yourself years of pain because you simply didn't take the time to do it now. Automating your stuff in order to take you out of being the bottleneck can do so much for you. This is one of the things that changed my financial trajectory when I made that a priority. I made it a priority. I took maybe a week to sit down, do what I needed to do to automate everything, my savings, my investing, making sure I knew where my money was going. And this has, I say, one of the things that has made me, well, put me in a place financially where I am now. And this is something that I think a lot of people discount. That is something that you can do for yourself that actually you'll reap the rewards for years. So I can't stress that enough, right? Another thing that you guys can do, and I find this from a lot of people I speak to, and especially the women, you need to start creating boundaries, okay? So it's been years since I lost the problem of being able to tell people no, okay?
You
Or
better
setting
knock on
some
wood,
boundaries for
Nadia.
myself. Now I know maybe it's because we're in our 40s now, but this probably happened in my 30s too. You understand what priorities are and what's important to you, and you understand how easy it is to get mixed into stuff that you should have said no to a while ago. And I know a lot of people, especially women, have a problem setting boundaries for people. The thing is, people would appreciate if you set boundaries because they know exactly where you stand. So you're doing yourself a favor and you're doing them a favor when people know exactly where you stand, so they know exactly what they can ask from you and what they don't have to ask from you. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we gave a three-step solution. One, right? One, you basically budget and know your numbers. Two,
Yep,
you automate your savings and investing. And three, you set boundaries. Now, Nadia and I are telling you the first and third ones because we believe we are your friends. And if you're watching this channel, we do want to help you. Now, number two, I know it may not be a time. Nadia say you can get it done in a week and things like that. But yes, one of the reasons why you might not be able to automate your investing and your savings outside of your retirement accounts is because you never learned how to do it because that's not something that we were taught in school.
true.
Nani and I took the time out in years working on Wall Street, going to get my MBA in financial instruments, and just making so many different mistakes and errors in
Mm.
order for us to learn how to invest and save on a schedule like we do now. But that's also why we have this channel, right? Because we can teach you how to do that as well. So if that's something and what we're saying today actually hits home for you, then please join our mailing list where the link is down in the description below because we would love to help you set up your investing and automate that so that you can stop being a bottleneck and make sure that you're giving yourself the best chance to have a financially secure future, especially if you're planning for retirement.
Yeah, we have plenty of products that will help, no matter where you are in your financial journey, get you started on this. Okay. So make sure you click the link below, join our mailing list so you can find out about those products and see which one is right for you. If you found this video a wake up call, make sure you share this with a person that you know needs the same message. Okay. And I know there's a new function on YouTube. So if you see that hype button, make sure you hype this video so others can see it. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in the next video.